Good afternoon, everyone. Cover of The Economist, the shortage economy. Check. Whole Foods. Everyday foods that could become luxuries. It's all scarcity and price. Fertilizer, scarce. Price up. Your food price more up. China corn supply estimates. That's only one facet of the strategy. Food imports by the year. Also beef imports from China. If they're stockpiling so much, maybe that's a clue you might want to also. Looks like Joe hasn't gotten the virus or the economy under control. And now we have inflation and cron cases skyrocketing. And do you think the stock market will trade higher in the next 3 years than it did from 2016 to 2020? Economists are comparing our current inflationary environment to the inflation era of the 1970s. Gold was up 20x, silver 37x in that 10-year period. Learn how simple it is to add physical gold and silver to your portfolio ahead of the rise in inflation and predicted price rises. Patriot Gold Group has the no-fee-for-life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver. Call 1-800-356-4470 and get a free investor guide today. And with the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer from 2016 to present, click on the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. And those of you who would like to follow me on Telegram, Adapt 2030. I was sent this image here about seeds being shipped to different states and territories within the United States. There's no name on this, and I am trying to track down where these shipping restrictions are coming from and which company is putting this out with their insert when you order off a catalog, it looks like. If anybody has information, please put it in the description box below. Seeds are going to be a very valuable commodity moving forward if you can grow your own food and you're not going to have to buy it when it's double or triple from this in the next year or so. Speaking of increasing food prices and everything prices, breaking down the CPI, Consumer Price Index. But you can see in the yellow letters, biggest annual increase since 1982. How much more is your food costing you at the supermarket? Your petrol that's going into your tank, your lifestyle and anything that you purchase. Have you noticed it going up in price? I have. That's why I think The Economist was pinging on this here, forecasting into 2022. Even at the end of October, they had the crystal ball. What will 2022 be like? The economy shortage. You see how it always needs to come in front of you for fair play. So we'll go over to Whole Foods. This is January 4th, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York. Aisles are bare. Whole Foods, no less. Who's going to be bidding for those limited amount of items? Just in my simple analysis, those are the ones that are probably the most expensive. But I guess if you have no choice, you're going to pay whatever you can to get food. Hence, you probably want to get some seeds. Jumping over to China and the corn supply estimates. Production, that's if everything's rosy and perfect and this Tonga eruption does not affect the climate in any way, shape, or form. All restrictions are lifted. All imports and exports. Oh, wait, stop. There's 3 ports closed in China. This all is dependent upon everything working as a well-oiled machine. And we can see right now we got rusty parts, broken cogs and wheels, and they still put these numbers out for production. Okay, we'll play. But the imports, 26 million metric tons, almost 14% of the world's supply. Actually, I've been reading a few articles that are pushing that much higher, and you might want to ask yourself why. Why are they getting all this extra food into the country? They're looking for increasing their ending stocks. Those are some staggering percentages. So you can see the bar graphs right in the center of the chart there, 2021, 22, The black bars up and up. Why did those rise so quickly? What does China know that they're not telling the rest of the planet here? They have 4,000 years of recorded history. Do you think they know there's going to be some climatic shift? Now, corn is one facet of food, but if we look at China food imports by the year, again, we find these gargantuan rises far outside the norm for 2020. Now, sifting through some preliminary reports, they won't have the 2021 numbers out. Obviously, the efficiency of government is, well, going to take a little bit longer than private firms do, but they're looking at around $150 billion, which would take that up. They're going to need to add more lines into this chart here, obviously. General Administration, Customs of China. And you really don't know, are they truthful about the numbers inbound or not? Very secretive if they're importing that much food. But you can see how the beef imports go right along with this surge in China. What is going on? More than doubling their imports from 2018. It's an all-out mad rush to get some things into China that are edibles for the population. This next article off worldgrain.com, just the 18th of January, new record high imports, 2021. That's going to fill into that $150 billion range. So if you look at the grains itself, the corn imports are up 152%. And there's some other numbers here. Wheat imports are up 16%. Sorghum up 95%, and barley up 54%. These are staples. And by the way, sorghum, an ancient grain you might really want to look into instead of growing corn. There's more nutrition, higher yield off the head per kilogram, and an acreage basis. You can eat it, animals can eat it, and it can be made into flours. Been used for thousands of years, sorghum has. But it all relies on this, fertilizer. Sorghum's a heavy eater right along with corn. And without the herbicides and fertilizers to control weeds and mainly grasses in the rows at planting, the yields would decrease because there's competition from weeds taking up the same nutrients that would make those grain heads larger, make those kernels larger. It's nature itself fighting for limited resources. We as humans put more resource than there actually is back into the soil by adding, you got it, fertilizer. This is off the USDA Agricultural Marketing Service. Iowa fertilizer prices, this is mainly going to be for corn, heavy eater, like I say. Anhydrous, this is the word you're going to look for across water cooler talk in the news. CNBC, when you start to hear anhydrous, game on, and you better understand where your food supply is coming from, because it's going to get incredible expensive, incredible quick, as my friends in Germany would say. And the potash, I can attest to paying almost double here in East Tennessee when I went in to buy 10 bags of that, 50-pound bags. Up and up is where it's going. And people in the co-op that are working are very kind to talk, and they also said, yes, the wholesale level, doubling prices. They're talking a 20-ton minimum on that. And everywhere you look, all the inputs are going up and up and up. So when you see BBC again, right along with The Economist, pushing the crystal ball of where the world's heading with food pricing, everyday fast foods that could become luxuries, coffee, meat, and spices, and even those articles from September and October of last year. Everything remains the same. What determines food prices? Scarcity and price. I'm going to take a trip through history here. In the 19th century or the mid to late 1800s, oysters were so plentiful, they were eaten like potato chips, the poorest of society. That since has changed with the marketing and the availability. Pollution in the oceans, etc., has really knocked into that. Also, if we go back into the 1800s here, lobster was once so abundant that it is used as fertilizer and served to prisoners. You know how that's changed, and now it's a luxury item as well. It's all about scarcity, well, and more about marketing as well, diamonds. But if we jump into a time machine here, for thousands of years, spices were the epitome of wealth and power. Dutch East Indian Company Indonesia, the spice trade, spice roots, cinnamon, Madagascar, all these things that just resonate in chapters of history. Vast empires funded. World economy centered around trade of spices, coffee, like I say, cardamom, cinnamon, vanilla. They want you to change your eating habits, pure and simple. Another way to think about luxury foods is that something you should not eat often or a lot of. See, meat, bad. Currently a part of regular meal for people, likely to become a luxury item in a few decades as more people adopt a plant-based diet. Now, would that be by choice or by force, is the question. And the statement of, it may no longer be viable as the world's population increases, well, that might need to be adjusted a little bit downward, don't you think? Back to vanilla again, I mentioned it, Madagascar. Cyclone wiped out 30% of the island's crops. Although there's been cyclones for a million years going through that area, it is in the cyclone belt, much as Florida or the Caribbean is in the hurricane belt, which has taken it to record highs. By the way, you probably want to get some vanilla extract in the glass bottles, not plastic, because these things are going to get more valuable or less available, and vanilla is used in an enormous amount of cooking, an enormous amount. And if you want to do the comparison at that price point, $600 per kilogram, it was more expensive than silver bullion. So as we think about 2022, with everything stacking up in inavailability, supply chains, the farm inputs, and the eruption and possible effects on Southern Hemisphere crop production, you're probably going to want to have some storable foods. Adapt 2030 and My Patriot supply the 3-month emergency food supply, 25-year shelf life. I would use this to get me through when the temperatures warm up so then I could grow my own food. Keep it stored away. Eat fresh during the summer as much as you can, and then use this if things are just not available. That link's in the description box below, along with tonight's images, stories, all the links to that so you can do your own research. I appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.